The first gentleman of the state, His Excellency retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Mada Wani Bio, for his vision, for his leadership, and his strategy we bring we to this historic occasion. We keynote and major speaker here today, na the minister we God puts the blessing back. For let it be the minister we actually for assume first position at the Security Council and now the presidency. The dynamic, and we can see for the very first time, Al-Haji. I don't congratulate her. You know, and I don't clap for her, the man at the new, brand new Al-Haji. El-Hajj, Honorable Al-Haji Timothy Musakaba, the country in Dynamic Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. We're also privileged to be joined by Wimomi, a very experienced and distinguished public professional and public servant, the Honorable Francis Algali, and the Deputy Minister. We will talk specifically about part of the agenda of the tenure at the Security Council. And on the left, what I will call a true foreign diplomat professional at this country, one of the top, we are the backbone of the foreign and diplomatic service in this country, the Deputy Director General for Policy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Alan Logan. So without further ado, Mr. Minister, this is the day for Salon, are you the lead? This platform now for you explain what this means, what are the implications, and what we hope to achieve as a country within this very privileged position.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, Honorable Chairman Ba, and I want to say good afternoon to the people of Sierra Leone. And today is a very historic day and epoch-making day in the history of our country. Simply because after 53 years, Sierra Leone did back at the Security Council since January of this year, for the next couple of months of 2025, and the whole of 2024, and the whole of 2025, Sierra Leone will continue for the United Security Council. But today, the 1st of August, we don't assume the presidency of the world in most premier institution or council who are responsible for the maintenance of global peace and security. And we can say, we get this, despite the size of the economy and the size of the geography of the country, Sierra Leone being at the world stage today for provide stewardship for the work of the Security Council for the next 30 days. That's a very important milestone, a very important historic moment for our country. This week, we'll only talk about the Security Council, what we plan to do in the Security Council, and what we don't do the past 7 months in the Security Council. On the 1st of January, where we assume with non-permanent seats at the Security Council, we come at a time where the world gets many crises that really go on. Notably, we get the Israel-Palestine crisis. We don't draw the attention of every member or organization of the world, especially with the carnage where they go on right now inside Gaza. And also, we don't get to deal with the Russia-Ukraine conflict. amongst many of the conflicts that were in the world, including also the notorious conflict within Sudan, where it caused over 10 million displaced people in Sudan, and also we therefore deal with the West African situation, where we don't see an uptick in the unconstitutional takeover of power in West Africa. And so Sierra Leone in the Council don't deal with all of these critical issues. And in dealing with these critical issues, we don't take positions of reason, we don't take positions based on principles, because alone we don't, then know we for be a country, when a peacemaking country, a country where they make decisions at the international and national stage based on the principles that we believe in: fairness, justice for all. So today, I get there on my right hand side, my very right hand side, I get my own guardian angel. The first way they make me work, they become possible. When I'm the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, we will speak to the second half of the presidency, when are the aspect of women and youth and peace and security. Then I get an expert, when are the Deputy Director General for Policy, where I will want today, because I don't talk this week, in at the engine, one of the machineries inside the ministry, where they deal with multilateral business of the ministry. Mr. Logan will speak to the signature event, the event where His Excellency the President get for chair on the 12th of August at the Security Council. And then they will help to also work with them as the questions that they can and as we explain with foreign policy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and then you can pose the question to the two other people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The distinguished Honorable Minister, Alhaji Timothy Musa Kaba, Auntie Frances, you know the rock, as the minister said, because we're making work possible. This wants to commend you as well and congratulate you for your leadership and your support. And ask for you to talk a little bit about the agenda, especially on the second half, focused on women, youth, and peace and security. Everything Sierra Leone bring to the table, everything Sierra Leone hope for achieve as part of the conversations at this highest level at the UN Security Council. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman, journalists, colleagues, there on our morning. When we been going to Security Council, we've been prioritized certain things there. We say we Sierra Leone in our Security Council, and the agenda here we go promote. And one of the agenda we say we go promote now women, peace and security, and the Security Council. The Security Council is agenda for women, peace and security. Basically, there are 4 pillars. Then say in any conflict situation, where they look at women, peace and security, you therefore look at women's participation on peace and security issues. Whether they will be the leaders, then whether they will be part of the discussion, whether they will be part of the debate, you must include women in it. The Security Council also say that we will protect women then in times of conflict. The architecture, where then we put any United Nations peacekeeping architecture, gets for look at the protection of women. The pillar also say then for prevent atrocities and violence against women during conflict. We all know say sexual and gender-based violence is always rampant during conflict. And then they say we will consider relief and recovery of women then during times of conflict. So then 4 pillars then the NISA don't say where they go to Security Council, it will throw light on, it will focus on as part of a priority. because when I know Sierra Leone, we get a unique experience as a result of the rebel war. We all know the role where women they play for end the rebel war. We all know some of the initiatives where civil societies take for bringing women and can at the forefront for be part of the peace architecture. So Sierra Leone say that may also could be part of a priority at the Security Council. Not only women, but youth, for be part of any peace and security architecture. The first activity we'll get to do as part of the presidency are for hold a debate on women, peace and security. We dey focus on particularly West Africa and countries them where the United Nations, because of maybe finances or other issues, don't scale down or don't draw down the peacekeeping operations there that the area they live. So we dey try to bring that situation there to member states then at the United Nations Security Council for talk to them, for see how they will support then country they dey for maintain the 4 pillars where the United Nations Security Council don't they try to promote where it comes to women, peace and security. So we dey get that debate day on the 7th of August at the United Nations Security Council, and we dey ask member states there, for example, for telling me how then we support women leadership, including the full meaning and participation in political and peace building. Of course, Sierra Leone is shining example. We don't pass the Jury Act. We don't see how women participation not increase as a result of the Jury Act. We also ask them for throw light on measures then, where they will take for prevent sexual and gender-based violence. Again, Sierra Leone can talk about that. On our member, the emergency where the president will declare against sexual and gender-based violence and some of the initiatives they will take. Then we also ask member states to bring recommendations where they will bring council to the Security Council on how we go continue for support the women, peace and security agenda of the United Nations. So that they are part of the activities and one of the first activities there where will take place at the United Nations Security Council and where Sierra Leone will lead at the United Nations Security Council. Patel Martin.
So what is the It's not. And then
all right. That's not the voice of experience and the voice of substance. I don't want to miss the headline day. Salon will call the whole world to talk about how they for advance human rights and for protect women, young people in conflict and protect them from sexual abuse and harm. This because in our salon, because of the leadership of His Excellency President Julius Malabio, an incredible thing they will achieve now. Now I don't give you this platform where we did at the Security Council and I would lead the global conversation on this issue. Before I come to Mr. Logan, I just want to acknowledge, see we get here with General Counsel from the Salon Consulate in Miami, Consul Hamilton, good to see you always, my brother. We get the Director of Comms from State House, the one and only Mike Peoa, I don't need introduction, Olma Naya Sabia. I want to demand a very good school for una making the check. I want a good school here, Albert Academy. Mr. Minister, you be a chairman, you make a like go so I can make here. Mama looking by the other, we are paid. Alright, welcome to you, Mr. Logan. Consummate professional, you know the agenda, you know it's pretty good. You know, one of the finest foreign professionals they were doing the privilege to work with for many, many years, I know. So, Salon and Security Council, people want to know the substance of our agenda, which we focus on, waiting at the contents of the debates and the open debates and conversations. And Deputy Minister don't highlight some of them, but we can't so for everything at home and then we move for questions and answers.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister, and thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for describing me in those very flattering terms. Well, as the Minister explained and the Deputy Minister, we go into the Security Council with set priorities. When we get 7 priorities, they will develop and will add to 8 priorities. And among them priorities they be, as the Deputy mentioned, women, peace and security was one. Another key priority, and that was a priority that was directed by His Excellency the President, is that we prioritize Security Council reform. Reform of the Security Council, which that means. Sierra Leone, under the guidance of His Excellency the President, now in the coordinate Security Council reform on behalf of the African continent. What does that mean? It means the African Union give the mandate to Sierra Leone for coordinate, for canvas, for lobby, for engage, for defend something we call the Common African Position. We also say the Security Council comprised of 5 permanent members. Among them 5 permanent members, then the African only. But yet still 60 to 70% of the decisions that they take in the Security Council are decisions that will affect Africa, yet will not get representation inside it. So the Africa they try for they inform the Security Council and with Common African Position say they ask for 2 seats in the permanent category of the Security Council. Because since 80 years we are not from the Security Council, Africa not represented. But also they ask for 2 additional seats that the non-permanent category will be so that we'll create a balance, so that will bring the number of seats they will not allocate to Africa to 5. Now what does that mean? When the President will go by what we call the Committee of 10 Heads of States of the African Union for the reform of the Security Council, the summit will be called Nakoyala, Equatorial Guinea. In informing colleagues, they say, for the first time, we will bring the discussion of Security Council reform inside the chamber of the Security Council. This discussion will only take place inside the council. So he gave that instructions to us, to the minister and to the mission, and now we have it as an agenda item. So which we don't do, which the president do, he also invite some of your colleagues, 10 members, will be present, so that that discussion will take place inside the Security Council. And how we can do inside? We say, let them look at the historic injustice when the government against Africa for the past 80 years we have not been represented. But yes, still, majority of the decisions that they affect you. So it's not true that like say we are there without representation. Also, just the imbalance, it is not a democratic process. Some countries they get power, elect all man don't agree. One person in the government say I don't agree. So all the discourse, the decision making is actually bind. So when they say now they come an African position with the champion for saying we they go on the Security Council, but even if we not believe in the veto because we believe it's non-democratic, but if we go there and we ask and as a matter of justice, if other countries they get veto, we say for the veto as a continent. So this important discussion, small as we are Sierra Leone has been leading it, defending it perfectly for several years, and the president has carried it properly. This is like an icing on the cake. We don't take the discussion inside the Security Council. So which would they ask countries then now? Now for support to other countries they say from going inside the Security Council, we believe in around for the day, but we believe say now we get special case. Because now when I go the continent, the only major continent is not inside. So on the 12th of August, one of the signature events, the Deputy Minister mentioned, so we have 2 signature events. One of the signature events now in President, instead the book recite over and share that discussion. They go ask for that to them. How can I intend to now for support Africa for level safeguard inside this council? So thank you very much, Mr. Minister. I think I hope I don't do some justice to the intervention. Thank you very much, sir.
I remember we have been small and they follow politics. Anything they mention Security Council and Saloon in the same sentence, would shake. The question have been whether a sanction they don't put Spawi. No, it was two. Security Council don't decide for do this to we. Then they expand or extend the deadline of the mission within there, the UN mission. It was a big thing. But today, as you don't have to tell me, say, the effective chair, president of the Security Council, now as you don't next. So this country, Salon, we now in the on the table. Now we're in the top pot. See, they will not just stay at the table, but now we see them at the hem of the table. We'll not just go there. I can't Mr. Logan just talk. For the first time, they don't need debates for years, academics. You want to go grad school, one of the big paper they will be reviewing now for reform of the Security Council. For years in the top quarter, the country really can go the conversation on the reform of the Security Council. So the Security Council itself, and the Republic of Salon. This is like true moments of President Bill in selflessness, in courage. He decided for use in presidency, not for silo advance alone. He said, will fix the whole problem, no reformer for everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, this idea of great pride, now we go to the microphone for ask any and all questions, as usual. Now we respect the basic rules, and I know me now statement as stickler of rules. You put up your hand, you tell the name and the institution where you come out, and you ask your question. We'll take 5. The minister and the team here will respond, and then we see how much more we will take after that. So let's see the hands go up, the one they will ask. Okay, then I want count all the 5 before we go. So if you have a question, you. Yes, the minister wants to come to passport to ask the question. For demonstrating and teaching. Mr. Tomayo, go ahead. You can just talk for me alive.
Now, we also say, as a program of population, Africa is much more larger than all the 5 members. Members is Security Council. What did they say? The membership to the Security Council, permanent membership, is based on the socio-economic wealth of a nation, the financial wealth, industrial wealth, where people say the AU, fair Africa, go up to the table and structure. We don't have to combine the funds them together for making the world. What will we do? Second question, sir. Leone is a member of the non-aligned movement. We all know that. But decades of years ago, we don't absolutely come together for the Pacific, the Caribbean, and the African countries. Now, one day, we come together for advocate for one permanent seat in the UN. Right? Now, we're going to take a venture at a very short time. Excellency the President. What is the presidency? What did the presidency? I've done my best to project Africa. But the problem is that Africa itself has its own problem. Hence, when it comes to the AU and the ECOWAS in question, and they always fail African citizens there because they negotiate, for example, the question of Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, which of course, if it concerns the strength of ECOWAS, those people that have not been left in a military regime, where they come up with was not transferring the law, no embargo to done, and even still be enslaved. Day 3. We are quite a lot.
I asked you all to put up now, and nobody not put up here.
Yeah, today, and then
So you will put up here already.
One, it comes to Africa and the top wall is we are like that. That on that President Joe after when he is telling the president that the question of Africa is not to talk too much. Now, for supposedly, that will come to one now. For actually, this is an indication of what he was here across. But we get quite a lot of cases and issues in Africa between presidents and the other African states. They are still subject to imperialism. They are still subject to the colonialism. What you will say, what if they get Israel and tell we are okay for one city in Africa or two cities in Africa, we will for
Okay. Zakama, you presents quite a few probabilities. Just say, what if? What if? So, hypothetical. No one for the candidates, so we'll take a few more. I don't know them. And yes, sir.
yeah. Mike not there.
Mike, you can talk there.
Okay. Good afternoon. Mina Kef Dukule. Equality now newspaper. Now, two questions I want to ask. I'm the deputy director. Talk about 2 signatory events on the 12th, but throw light on only one, where it say it will be chaired by the president, but you're not telling about the second signatory event. So go and know what's not the second signatory event. Then number 2, this position holder assume. Now we get the Sahelian country, the way they say, in fact, if they money, then they will leave the UN totally because they want to create their own to the court. We're not going to do anything for persuade them 3 countries, the way they want form, the way they want come ECOWAS, where they want form their own to the court. We're not going to persuade them so that they will be active members of not only ECOWAS but the UN.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good questions. I'll take one more. You want me there? Yes, go ahead.
No, I don't.
Good afternoon. Me and the KFN guy, MD, Freetown Television Network. First, I want to congratulate you as you mentioned for Israel as the 15th you assume. But let's talk about global peace in general and reflection to Israel and Palestine. Not reflect to mind back to the Balfour Declaration in 1917 and very critical something where I believe say yeah for Andrew, he always say US get a vote for player. But there are some Saludo, assume this position now. What do we say as a country we need for like advice the Security Council for the country where they balancing peace? What is Saludo? Thank you so much.
I think we don't get enough questions. We'll take the answer then, and then we'll come back. We'll come back for another round. So let's do this round for now. And Mr. Minister, you should start.
All right. Thank you very much, General. I'll make us start with the last question. Israel-Palestine conflict. It's a conflict, very protracted conflict, we don't know since after 1960s. The conflict between Israel and Palestine was Sierra Leone throughout the period, throughout the conflict, throughout this history. Sierra Leone always called for the 2 states then for leave side by side, Israel and Palestine, and the intensification of the conflict where it start, this new phase of the conflict will start on the 7th of October 2023. Sierra Leone came at the Security Council on the 1st of January, and on every occasion where the question of Palestine don't come at the Security Council, Sierra Leone don't support the existence of Palestine vis-a-vis the existence of Israel. The 7th October attack on Israel Sierra Leone condemn them as a terrorist act, a dastardly, gruesome act where we condemn, but equally so, Sierra Leone don't condemn strongest terms the aggression against the people of Palestine in Gaza and in Rafah. We say over 40,000 people, they don't die as a result of the conflict, mostly women and children. And over 3 million people don't displace from their homes. So we don't use the opportunity holding a Security Council for condemn the violence, call for ceasefire. We don't vote in all the resolutions that we don't count, not the council, for permanent ceasefire. We will continue to raise our voice. On the 19th of April, we see when Palestine come and declare, say they want to be incorporated into the United Nations body. I was there as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Sierra Leone supported the admission of Palestine to the United Nations body. We believe, say, that justice, that legitimacy of the state for exist as a state of Palestine, the people of Palestine deserve. That is a very complex conflict. Up to date, the two sides and all cease the violence, but we continue for a call on all the parties for stop the violence and for allow humanitarian aid, for also allow for reconstruction and for bring back Palestine and Israel for making them live side by side as two neighbors, different sovereignty, but as neighbors. So that is what we're doing in the Security Council. On the two signature events, and that is why I chose for me, the Deputy Director of Policy, speak to the event, the principal signature event, where they come on the 12th, His Excellency the President, now they chair that event, and that event is on the reform of the United Nations Security Council, where that will be chaired by no less a person but His Excellency Dr. Julius Madavio, the President of Sierra Leone. The other part of the presidency, the other signature event, when our women, youth in peace and security, now Our Excellency, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Madam Frances Algali, now Indigo conduct that open debate day on women and youth in peace and security. This is because President Bio, we know the Jury Act. If me not be minister, we don't believe in the Jury Act, and we go throughout the entire month for conduct all the debates there. But I believe say a woman can conduct women's affairs better, and therefore she is. In fact, they will say more. The way we frame the president and the women's empowerment business, if they go to Security Council before we go to Security Council, that is consistent, you know, and she is going to conduct that other aspect of the signature event. Of course, we get other debates and other issues that we're going to deal with throughout the month of August. Mr. Kamara, I think I will let Mr. Kamara in question to the Deputy Director of Policy, because I think he talked about Pan-Africanism, and being born after Pan-Africanism can't be also.
Well, I want to address the Sahel question and whether you use the position.
Yes, the Sahel, it's unfortunate that West Africa today and Africa in general, we don't get an increase in unconstitutional takeover of government. The three countries of the Sahel don't decide for forming they call Alliance d'État Sahelian, that which is the alliance of the three Sahel states. They say they won't come out from the ECOWAS body. It's unfortunate because them three countries together they constitute 15% of the ECOWAS population, right? And that's quite a huge number of people. And in terms of landmass, they get close to 40% of the landmass of ECOWAS. So that is very significant. Even though it is practically difficult for them to divorce themselves from the economic community of West African states, because the nature of the countries, they are all characteristically landlocked countries, which means for their economic activities, they therefore depend on other West African countries. And also, they get a population we culturally are almost similar to countries like Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and all of that. So we get this contiguous cultural interconnection. So therefore, it is very difficult for men to just say that they come up from the West African bloc. However, it's a political decision. They can make that decision when they want to make the decisions, because they're not sovereign state. But ECOWAS not closed doors completely on the Sahel countries yet. ECOWAS still don't open conversation. His Excellency the President, many quarters of the world they call on President Bio for intervene, based on his own personal experience as a former military head of state, or we transition Sierra Leone from a military regime to a democratic state, and also we gave up on power at a very crucial time of Sierra Leone in history, for go and come back 22 years for become a civilian president. I think it gets a portmanteau of experience where it need for share with your colleagues at the West African states and at Sahel. But also the role of Sierra Leone in the Security Council with respect to West Africa and the Sahel is that the United Nations get an office, what they call the Office of UNOWAS. It is the UN Office of West Africa and the Sahel. This office gets the responsibility for informing the United Nations on peace, security, and development in West Africa and the Sahel. Unfortunately, from 2021, the kind of attention, support, where that office forgets, the office not get, and because certain countries and they, now the Security Council, notably like the Russian Federation, where we don't stop the United Nations Security Council, not for put a presidential statement out for give power to UNOWAS. Well, amongst the functions of UNOWAS get the capability for give early warnings on conflict and potential coup d'etats. Because UNOWAS not become very potent, now maybe perhaps most of the coups that will happen at the Sahel will not be able to predict them and forestall them. What did President Bio do? He promised that the 78th session of the General Assembly, that when Salon take the presidency, we will make sure we prioritize African security, and particularly the security of West Africa and the Sahel. So this June, most of them have been still out of Russia. That was the back-end diplomacy. I went to Russia under the instruction of His Excellency the President for go diplomatically cajole the Russians for me to allow a presidential statement, and we secure that presidential statement through the effort of Sierra Leone and Switzerland. That presidential statement now, they make the United Nations, they focus now on the UNOWAS office, where we help for key early warnings and for help with peace and security. Now we stop region. Thank you.
Electing our colleagues and also right now, under President Bio leadership, you must collect. But the level of diplomatic engagement, the quality and the substance of the engagement, the way the world look at we for solve complex, intractable problems, and the quality of the leadership of President Bio appoints, where they all across different arms will do this work. Truly great work. Madam Deputy Minister, I think you have all added here.
Okay, when they hear me? I'm okay, yeah. I just want to add to what the minister say on the signature events there, because somebody asked a question saying one great event, the director, Logan they talk about. Indeed, we did get two signature events. I mean, they call them signature events. That's not like the icing on the cake. That's not the Security Council reform debate, where His Excellency the chair. Then we did get an other debate on peace building and sustaining peace, where Sierra Leone, now in the chair, where the Independent Peace Commission said, other briefers said, for addressing Security Council on Sierra Leone journey, in peace journey. Because state today people let me call it Pansano. House alone, yes. House alone after the war, not able to sustain the peace wey we all dey enjoy. So e not easy o. E not easy, but we as a country we don try. I dey always say, na salon, nobody no want for them say, na this person na carry go back to war. So Alexa, we vex, stay with you, man. Shake. We dey withhold, we dey restrain, we dey try for those sit down at table, let we talk. And people they want hear either story dey, and people they want know that journey dey, how we able to maintain the peace. So we get that other signature event day. Then the part the minister say we get the women peace and security briefing when I go be the first event where Sierra Leone they start with when I mean they go chair. Today, 1st of August, the permanent representative in New York, he get a breakfast meeting where they call all the permanent representatives in New York for take breakfast meet and let them discuss the work of the Security Council. They get a coordinators meeting, they get consultation, then they go discuss the program of work for this 1 month where Sierra Leone will lead. So apart from them 2 signature events there, we get so many things they will get for do. We get so many briefings there where Sierra Leone get for lead. I don't know where the minister go New York to stay, I go see him back. We get for lead. So many briefings there. So not to them 2 events there are so no more. So many events there where Sierra Leone go lead. And I go once there all as journalists then. There is a Security Council radio, there is a UN radio and television where they on YouTube. Then when they follow up, this 1 month we'll get this presidency on YouTube. Make una see how Sierra Leone they do work now the Security Council.
We will share the deal with you. Thank you very much. Deputy Director, quickly so that we'll do one more round.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Deputy, for the Secretary on signature event. And as the Deputy said, we will bring peace building with unique experience with peace building. Which we experience as tragedy during the long period of conflict has now become a product for us, because when we get to transition to peace, in fact, the peace has been so successful that they will be used as a model for peacekeeping operations and transitions, post-conflict transitions for all other countries in conflict. So we will use one of the toolkits of peace building for spotlight we will call prevention. So now that discussion then now we will get inside the Security Council on the 21st, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs now will preside over that meeting. So as the Deputy Minister they ask now also for the tune into the UN web for Leone with the help for recovery, which is a unique moment for Sierra Leone. And thank you, Mr. Minister, for giving me the question skillfully like this, of answering the Pan-Africanist. They do not say Pan-Africanist, thank you, usually very much informed and can come out with a favor on progressing the agenda of the continent. The question, if I get the question correctly, is you are pointing to the fact that there is the possibility that 2 positions can be easily divided based on economic strength. The common African position is very, very clear to us. We not go into that debate. In fact, other members of the Security Council have even started long before, I'm sure you just mentioned what you mentioned. Then they asked me, well, name the countries that will go on the council. We say, not to down the common African position. You say, will the fight for 2 seats, lower the seats, the African Union. We self as voters will decide that position. Besides the African continent, say what you may, of course, this is not a new frontier. We're all talking about. Imagine we have the resources. Many countries are experiencing growth, some phenomenal growth, but collectively as a force, you mentioned that we have one of the biggest population. And that also is that when we get a young population, we get a 70% youth bulge in the continent. So these are all things that we should say give we that this is the time for Africa. The other thing, part of the comment is that the venture at a short time, not to now this discussion starts. It's a difficult discussion, you don't start for a long time. It's just that at this particular time, given the present momentum, His Excellency decides to let we air this thing in the Security Council and have views around the table, but it's not now, not now is that. But thank you very much. We would like to engage you further on views because Pan-Africanism, civil society, we suppose for the engaged and rally. We would like to engage your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, next questions. Madam Ba.
Okay, I think my voice is loud enough. Good
Yes.
afternoon, everybody. So I got two questions. The first one, now with regards to your foreign policy objectives, we outlined now the Constitution. So I just want to know how important this one presidency of Sierra Leone and the United Nations Security Council will get for look like. When, as I say, we'll look at the foreign policy objectives as outlined in the Constitution. Second one, where I get the notice about this press conference, I asked me the question to myself several times. Yeah, I remember last week where His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio had the town hall meeting, he mentioned about the UN Security Council. So my own question I mean, why not after the town hall meeting when I decide for this press conference, so can also inform journalists about this presidency.
I want attempted to answer that question. One second. Today will actually take on the presidency. So I think anybody who don't pay attention knows say we don't talk about this presidency for a long time. The minister don't come twice on this platform. We don't discuss this 98.1, even this week, you don't mean on multiple media platforms. We had the press conference, we don't engage on this issue. But with principle that you can never have too much information, people get rights to information. So His Excellency the President do at a very high level, talking to citizens directly, but we want to give because we respect Una, the senior journalist. We get very distinguished. We get still chair of the Editors Guild, we get North Korea and Syria. We get all the media owners in Dinaya, Mewada, and others. So we want to give another opportunity for Una to eat because it's not too small. This will not even do enough press engagement for this set. If we want to do this, but if we really have money, 1 month carnival, every day the downstairs alone. So we are president of the Security Council. But we're not getting money. So at least, but because we respect to now, we decide to bring the principle and come. His Excellency will talk at a vision level and a strategy. Whether we will like deputy director, minister, deputy, don't go into technical details. The guy with the minister just talk about Sahel, the politics and all that. And we assume say, we're not interested in that information, so we bring a can down to and I make you come now, okay? All right. Yes, I go on.
This is a great feat for Salon, having achieved such position at the United Nations. But how does this go help to address a small spec? I know we therefore respect other countries than either. But how does this go help to address the small spec we get just near after going younger?
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my name is Amos, the Port of Field. I think we don't get a very clear Atlantic composition around the Sahel, but I think we only don't do it to the unconstitutional removal of democratically elected president, where we know, say, the Sahel gets other issues, which very important, the issues of jihadist terrorism. And if you look down at the Sahel, Niger, Chad, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Cameroon, DR Congo, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, all of these countries almost been swallowed by terrorism. So how are the presidency of Sahel who address the issue? Because it's almost stretching out to Africa.
Thank you. That's a good question. I appreciate it. Yes. much. That's an important point. We're going to address it. I see all the we are the one up to questions that I pick one spokesman. They answer. Okay, you first and then back up. Yes. Lama you not go with. So okay. So Lama and then you and then Baka. Lama you go first.
Lama South Korea.
Lama in South Korea. You alright. Zach, so me not go see man. Yes.
The question about the questions are, in community with you more can counterpart Salone openly supports Morocco. And I know the Algerians are concerned and we are sitting with them, we sit with them at the Security Council. Presidents meet with his Algerian counterparts and that's one of the issues that will come up. We still hold on to the position in supporting the Moroccans and the Western Sahara issue between the Algerians.
All right, thank you very much. Next. Yes, sir.
Janjalo, the Times SL newspaper. Thanks to the President, and thanks to the government and people of Sierra Leone for this wonderful opportunity and the Security Council. Now, at least, the own voice will be heard. In the same way, there are for take major decisions, Sierra Leone will get at least or make an input. So it's happening, I think, yesterday, I believe, say, don't capture the attention of the world. And now Sierra Leone being part and parcel of the international world, when we talk to it. Why is this issue happening in Palestine, between Israel and Palestine? And you understand what's happening now Iran recently, we Hamas the leader, they go there for go attend the function and they kill him. And also, they kill the Hezbollah, the leader, and Lebanon. Only Israel will make any statement in relation to that. And there has been a report for this case of ceasefire. So I want to know what the position of Sierra Leone in relation to those.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good question. Excellent. Akam. Yes. Nigeria is not going to question. Yes, go ahead. I mean, what are they? Yes. Yeah, man, go ahead, sir. Start.
Mr. Minister, I find it too compelling for the silent surveillance.
I give a chance. But I ask you a question.
The reason being, we all know Usai starts and we know Usai comes. At least a little bit acknowledgement of the past foreign minister, Professor Francis.
Hold on. I inspired the minister for response to that last question, because as a spokesperson for the government of Salone, I didn't respond. We all now serve at the pleasure and the direction of one man, democratically elected President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. As Minister of Information, which I do, which I not do, it's based on what His Excellency direct and envision. I'm not here today, we all of us come, not to see how I'm President Bio, because I'm President Bio, Nigeria. Maybe the person who acknowledge my today, we are the leader and envision His Excellency. Obviously, I don't mean say all the people don't can serve. Now I can say the one we going to give the blessing. I was very careful with my choice of words. The one we going to give the blessing for today, for Lord take the seats. Not only picking self, not only decide who. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless. Keep back up for lady. So they are long and long bush now. So no one can do. Mr. Minister, we have plenty of questions there. So I don't see the take notes. So go ahead. If you forget anyone, we'll remind you.
Thank you very much, General. Even though you don't answer that question, I just want to, if we don't take any seat, where you don't make I don't see today, make you know say this work not today begin under the instruction of the President, the foreign ministers that were the day before me. They all don't contribute to this work. But I will General say, His Excellency the President and the architect of the work, so that we will give all the praises for his leadership. The work what they do, and they do them by me direction, and they do them by the vision and direction of His Excellency the President. If another year so tomorrow, now other person will do the work. And besides, my predecessor and my senior fellow alum at the Holy Trinity Secondary School, Kenya. You understand? I'm a very respectable, very good citizen of mine. Eh? So let now I come to the substantive questions. Abraman, I don't see you, sir. Thank you for the question. And the gentleman asked about Yenga. Yenga, now a disturbing reality. For over 2 decades, we only see the disturbance where the Guinean armed forces they create at the Yenga territory. But His Excellency the President, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Security Forces of Sierra Leone, they intensively engage with the Guinean counterpart, and the diplomatic discussions they go on, and the President don't commit himself to ending that occupancy and will ensure, say, the Guineans are demobilized and left the Yengan territory. Diplomatic processes can be slow, but they are the surest ways of ending conflict. No matter how long, even physical conflict is, people they always stand up at the table for resolve their disputes. So we believe, say, Yenga could be resolved because it is not, nobody really argue the fact, say, Yenga is a Union territory. That is why, under the instruction of the President, myself in go Yenga, I go see the encampment. I talk to the Guinean armed forces, where they on record for I tell them, say, that territory was not get encamped na Sierra Leonean territory. I told them in their face, and therefore we engage with Conakry for ensure, say, that territory is returned or is demobilized, and then people can go left and left with territory in peace. My sister talked about the foreign policy objectives of Sierra Leone. What we do so is through international cooperation, where they guarantee the maintenance of international peace and security, right? For being at the Security Council, now for you to work with other people in a cooperation framework for ensure, say, we bring peace and security in the world. You know, people can ask, why and what is the importance of this UN Security Council business? The world is a village, and everybody living in a village, you always want to be respected in your village. You want to play a significant role in the running of the village. So people will respect you accordingly in the village. And that is what Sierra Leone is doing. In 1972, the very first time we were in the Security Council, in September of 1972, Sierra Leone also played in its presidency a very significant role. And that role in undergird the relationship, bilateral relationship, where they exist between the peoples, between China and Sierra Leone. Now, because of Sierra Leone under Sierra Leone presidency, Taiwan gave way to China for let China become a permanent member of the Security Council. And when China became a permanent member of the Security Council, that began to translate into the construction of U-building, the construction of the Shaka Stadium, and all those are benefits from Salome in being one of the Security Council. Today, we don't see, say, many nations of the world, they're happy for engage with Sierra Leone. May I have your attention, please, sir?
Yes, sorry, sir.
Yes, within our Security Council, we will behave accordingly.
The President of the Security Council.
Thank you very much. So, we still say, even when we don't come at the council, this past 7 months, we don't see the nations of the world, they continue to respect Sierra Leone. Everybody want to open embassy in Salon. Everybody want to make Salon open embassy in the country. That they underscore the credibility of the country they are overseas. And so, that's not part of the diplomacy for bringing respect to Salon. And in February this year, now the African Union Peace and Security Infrastructure, what they call the AUPS, then therefore vote for Salon. 44 countries in vote, Salon score 39 out of the 44 countries will vote, and Salon is also a non-permanent member in the African Union Peace and Security Council. So it's done, there are 2 security councils at the moment. So this, they show how respected our country is, and the pivotal role our country play in international peace and security maintenance. Mr. Cherno talk about how important President Leone drive the vision of Sierra Leone. As foreign minister, when I go out of this country, and I feel proud that Professor Francis, the one that before under the guidance of President Leone, make foreign policy very simple for me. Because when they go, the respectability which I don't get out here now is very, 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 very visible. And go, that respect of Sierra Leone is given, both in multilateral and bilateral engagement. The gentleman spoke about the intractable terrorist activities in the Sahel. It is true. Before now, we will get terrorist groups in the Sahel. But now, we almost get terrorist armies, which we mean say terrorism don't take a different dimension than the Sahel. But the reason why we also very much emphasize on the takeover of government, on democratically than the Sahel, now because, take for instance, in Niger, when there was a democratically elected government in Niger, the Americans had a base in Tangier. That military base with the Americans they get for use them for surveillance and for attack the terrorists then. We make sure say terrorism in Niger begin for go down drastically. But when the military come, they take over, they ask the United States for remove the military base from Niger. Now terrorist activities don't spike up again in Niger. The same thing with Burkina Faso. Now we don't see the Wagners have come to the Sahel and terrorism has become even more rife. So it is really concerning, even for we in Saloya, because what happen now with the Sahel, we don't see say the terrorism don't come southwards and westwards. The only barrier between we and Mali and Burkina Faso today is Guinea. And Guinea also has a military government. We pray for the God keep Guinea together so that terrorism don't come west-west to Liberia and Sierra Leone. So we live in a very, very precarious time, a very dangerous time. So that we will only work for ensure say we find ways and means for able to fight terrorism and also for able to bring the country to constitutional rule. Mr. Lamran Abba asked about Sierra Leone's position with respect to the Western Sahara and where we are Algeria being at the Security Council. But I don't think there is a conflict between Morocco and Algeria. I think the issue of the Western Sahara, within the position where Salon always does support, and the UN position, which is the Moroccan initiative that has been submitted to the UN for finding lasting solution over the Western Sahara, where we know what they call the Moroccan initiative. We believe say that a viable solution, a proposition to the solution of the Western Sahara. So that is our position. One of the gentlemen asked about say we don't open embassy in Algiers, why we don't open embassy in Jerusalem? We don't open embassy in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is not a country. Israel is a country, and the political capital of Israel is Tel Aviv. Anytime we're ready for open embassy in Israel, that embassy will be situated in Tel Aviv. Thank you.
The minister also. I think you don't answer all the questions.
That's one.
Which one?
Well, I'm very happy that Madam Deputy Minister Selode watched the UN radio on YouTube. Sierra Leone, they always call for cessation of violence and de-escalation of violence. When the rocket exchange began between Israel and Iran, I was in the UN Security Council. I get a brief stakeout and we call for de-escalation. Every statement on Hezbollah, every statement on Iran, Sierra Leone, they call for de-escalation. Sorry, sir? Yes, diplomatic. We are diplomats. Peaceful ones. Una next press conference on it.
Oh yes, and people with disabilities. Yes, so Madam Minister, please take that question. Thank you for that question. Yes.
Okay, there was a question on addressing sexual violence against women, particularly women with disabilities. I agree with the person who asked the question. Even though we did fight against sexual violence against women in general, in peace and security, we therefore pay special attention to certain groups, and one of the groups that we mentioned are women with disability, particularly because of their condition. Their category therefore be looked at. But there's always been a legal framework. We don't get a legal framework for address violence against women. Our war situation, even as a country, we don't do so much on the legally for trying to put in place laws and policies for address violence against women. What do we get for work on are the implementation. And the implementation not only left with government, but it left with all of us as citizens as well. We successfully for help government for implementing laws they did for fight against violence against women and persons with disability. Where you see something, talk about. Where you see something, try for going at the right place so that people then go address them. Not say not to be business. So with women, peace and security briefing we will get, we will pay special attention to not only women as a whole, but special categories of women. Like we don't mention women with disabilities, women human rights defenders, aged, old women, and those categories of staff, of people, we go look at them and try to see how we put them with proper recommendations for improving the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think except if there's a burning question, I see you hand me the up and go.
No, I be just want to know if I'm mistaken, he say top. You understand? He say Shaka City Stadium. SLPP always say government is a national stadium. Because they use national stadium repeatedly always.
So if you know SLPP, you know what it is.
He say Shaka City Stadium.
If you know SLPP, you know what it is.
Okay.
Maybe SLPP, I think say I can see right in Panam before now, when they call Shaka Stadium. Now the name of the stadium that they also.
But most governments.
But now we national stadium, not so. Shaka Stadium, but now we national stadium, not so.
No, not yet to police.
One drop.
One drop. And he did 2 drops.
All right. I can use this opportunity now to tell you I want plenty thank you. All I come, who can call now when I come, we take it for granted. This partnership is very, very important to me across government because the real commitment really I follow increase this level of engagement and transparency across the government, even as we continue to change the story of this country. We're not going to change that story and that narrative without going and protest it. When I don't say when challenging things happen and they want big headlines, now on a job. But this month, a month of pride. I want to use this platform for pleading to now. One thing we will not mention clearly, I think it be implied. The peace we will not maintain. The success we allow for the National Security Council, not to one government, not to yourself people alone. Now across government. If in the tenure of the APC that 11 years we had a school map in there, if we not be maintain the peace, we know the house of this today. So this is a national affair. APC, SLPP, NGC, PMDC, all political parties. Now we all don't achieve this incredible feat. So I ask Una and the media, the platform, print, electronic, and all others, do ya? When I use the platform they will get this month, Lord dedicate time for lift salon above all else. Lord shows in this God is the salon. It big task we all. Then I want to tell the minister, the deputy minister, and the deputy secretary. I think the Director General said in there, I've been for acknowledge as well and tell and thank you, the Director General, that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, for you holding all of this. And we are all welcome for support to me. Next Tuesday, we all a press conference. I have want to tell the minister, thank you for the host me. For one thing, the great immediately parents. As they we support each other. But we really proud of the achievement to all to make an additional all a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, that was the Minister of Information and Civic Education.